The automotive industry has given us plenty of features that promised innovation, snorts, but delivered embarrassment, failure, and sometimes real danger. Today, we're counting down 25 features that should have never been approved. These aren't just minor mistakes. These are the moments when executives looked at a terrible idea and said, yes, build 1 million of those. Stick around, because number 25 is a safety feature that backfired so badly. It actually delayed car safety for a whole decade. Let's look at the absolute stupidest ideas to ever hit the assembly line. Number 1. The 1958 Ford Edsel Teletouch steering wheel. Ford decided the best place for gear buttons was the center of the steering wheel. You had buttons for park, reverse, and drive right where the horn should be. Imagine trying to honk in an emergency, but accidentally hitting reverse at 40 miles per hour. The engine heat would cook the electronics inside the column, and they broke all the time. Number 2. Chrysler's dashboard push-button transmission. Chrysler put the gear shifter on the dashboard like radio presets. They used cables to connect the buttons, and those cables would stretch and get loose over time. Eventually, you'd press a button and nothing would happen. It was so confusing that drivers were constantly backing into walls. Number 3. Vacuum-powered windshield wipers. This was a masterpiece of cost-cutting. Instead of electric motors, companies used engine vacuum to move the wipers. The problem? When you press the gas pedal to go up a hill, the vacuum would drop, and the wipers would stop completely. Yes, in a heavy rainstorm, your wipers would just quit right when you needed them most. Number 4. The 1950s General Motors air suspension. GM tried using air-filled rubber bags instead of springs. They leaked constantly. In cold weather, water would get into the lines and freeze solid, making the whole system useless until it thawed out. Most owners eventually ripped them out and replaced them with regular metal springs. Number 5. The Ford Skyliner's retractable hardtop. This used 7 electric motors and 610 feet of wiring. If one tiny relay failed, the roof would get stuck halfway. You'd be stuck in the rain with a car that was neither a coupe nor a convertible. It was so complicated that even dealers were afraid to touch it. Number 6. Floor-mounted dimmer switches. For decades, the high beam switch was on the floor by your left foot. In the winter, it would get covered in slush and freeze solid. You'd be driving at night, blinded by an oncoming car, stomping on a frozen block of ice trying to dim your lights. Number 7. The Chevrolet Corvair's swing axle suspension. The engine was in the back, making it heavy, but the suspension was the real disaster. If you let off the gas in a corner, the back wheels could tuck under and flip the car over. It was so dangerous, it sparked a national safety scandal. Number 8. The Highway Hi-Fi record player. Chrysler offered a record player under the dashboard. The problem? Physics. Every time you hit a pothole, the needle would skip across the record. Even worse, the summer heat would warp the records until they looked like potato chips. Number 9. Mercury's reverse slant rear window. Mercury made a rear window that slid down into the trunk for ventilation. The reality? Exhaust fumes from the tailpipe would blow directly into the back seat. But it was a great way to give your passengers carbon monoxide poisoning. Number 10. The Autronic Eye light dimmer. This sensor was supposed to dim your high beams for oncoming cars, but it couldn't tell the difference between a car and a reflective sign. Your lights would keep flashing between bright and dim for no reason, confusing every driver on the road. Number 11. The Oldsmobile Transportable Radio. This radio weighed 9 pounds, and you could pull it out of the dash to carry around. The batteries only lasted 2 hours, and once you took it out, it left a massive hole in your dashboard. Basically, an open invitation for thieves to break in. Number 12. Cadillac's automatic steering, 1950s. Cadillac built a system that followed a cable buried in the road. But only one test track in the world actually had the cable. Cadillac charged customers for heavy, expensive equipment that was literally useless on every real highway. Number 13. Fiberglass body gaps, Studebaker Avanti. Studebaker tried using fiberglass for the body, but the panels never fit right. You could see through the gaps in the doors. In hot weather, the fiberglass would warp, and the paint would peel off because it wouldn't bond to the surface. Number 14. Pontiac's rope drive shaft. Instead of a solid metal rod, Pontiac used a flexible cable wrapped in rubber. The cable would stretch and unwind, making the car vibrate like an earthquake. When it finally snapped, it was a massive, expensive repair for a problem that shouldn't have existed. Number 15. The Studebaker sleeping seats. These seats reclined flat so you could sleep, but the locking mechanism was cheap. While driving, the seat back would suddenly drop backward without warning, leaving the driver staring at the roof while the car was still moving at 60 mph. Number 16. Chrysler's under-bumper reverse lights. These were mounted so low they were covered in mud within minutes. The wiring was exposed to rocks, and even when they were clean, they were too dim to see anything. They were purely for looks and zero function. Number 17. Hidden headlights with vacuum motors. Lincoln used vacuum-powered doors to hide the headlights. If the vacuum leaked, the doors stayed shut, leaving you blind at night. Often, only one side would open, making the car look like it was winking at you in the dark. Number 18. The Chrysler turbine. Jet car. Chrysler built a car with an actual jet engine. The exhaust was so hot it would melt asphalt and set grass on fire at stoplights. It also had a massive delay. You'd step on the gas and have to wait seconds before the car actually moved. Number 19. Dodge's swiveling front seats. The seats turned outward to make getting in easier, but the mechanism was flimsy. After a few months, the seats would rock back and forth while you were driving, making the driver feel seasick on every turn. Number 20. The switch to 4 headlights. In 1957, brands moved to 4 small headlights for style, but the 4 small bulbs actually gave off less light than the 2 big ones they replaced. It was a step backward in safety just to follow a design trend. Number 21. Chrysler's glowing electroluminescent. Instead of bulbs, the dash used a glowing panel. It made a high-pitched whining sound that was incredibly annoying. And if the panel failed, you had to take the entire interior apart just to see your gauges at night. Number 22. Packard's leveling system. Packard used electric motors to keep the car level, but the sensors were terrible. The motors would run until they burned out. When they failed, one corner of the car would sag down, making it look like the car had a flat tire or a broken axle. Number 23. Mercury's typewriter control panel. Mercury put the transmission and heater buttons on a panel between the seats that looked like a typewriter. There was no logic to the layout. You had to look down and read tiny labels while driving just to find the park button. Number 24. Early memoryless cruise control. This early system would forget your speed every time you touched the brake. There was no resume button and no indicator light, so the car would sometimes suddenly lunge forward to try and find the speed again. Number 25. Ford's 1956 safety package. That backfired. This is the ultimate stupid decision. In 1956, Ford tried to sell safety with padded dashes and seatbelts, but the marketing was a disaster. Ford's competitors started a rumor: if Ford needs all these safety features, their cars must be dangerous. Sales crashed so hard that Ford stopped talking about safety for 10 years. This single marketing mistake delayed seatbelt laws and safety innovations for a whole generation. It was a great idea handled so poorly that it actually made the world less safe. Which of these was the most stupid? Let me know in the comments. Hit that like button if you enjoyed the failures. Until next time, stay mechanical.